Split Decision Podcast, episode number 114, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, how you doing tonight, sir?
It's Nick Diaz Fight Week, baby. I'm doing excellent. Happy to be back talking fights with you. How are you, Phil?
Doing well, and we will absolutely get to that Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler fight, which is one of the most exciting parts of UFC 266. But first, folks, here is a quick breakdown of what we've got on tap today. First, we've got my opening question for Fight Geek. Then we've got a quick recap and review of Smith versus Spann. After that, we're going to really quickly cover the Romero versus Phil Davis fight in Bellator. And then it's on to preview and picks for UFC 266. Then my favorite section, listener questions and more. But Fight Geek, I wanted to start off with this question for you. So Anthony Smith had another one of those enigma performances where he looked amazing this time, got the first round submission of Ryan Spann at 3 minutes and 47 seconds of round number one via rear naked choke. He looked incredible the whole time. And my question for you is real simple. Anthony Smith going forward, Fight Geek, what is his ceiling and will he be champion?
You know, it was a great performance by Anthony Smith, and I think we all, he pretty regularly looks great in the first round. He's very good early. I think a lot of his problems come late. So
yep.
I think this was actually on par with some of his better performances. I think, Spann in retrospect may have been a little bit out of his depth with someone as experienced and well-rounded as Anthony Smith. So, I don't see Anthony Smith winning the title at 205, but I do see him occupying a top 6 ranking for the foreseeable future. He's going to be there for a while. But yeah, that's a boom or bust division. I still think, guys like Yuri, even Glover, still present problems for him, and fights against guys, in the top 10 are still kind of pick'ems in my opinion, even though on his best day, he can beat just about anyone. I do think that there's guys that can get that fight to a little deeper and put Anthony in positions he doesn't want to be. So,
yep.
Yeah, I think he's a top 5 fighter in the division for the foreseeable future, but I don't think he'll ever be the champion personally.
Okay, that's fair. I just think he's such an interesting guy because I almost think he's more of an enigma than Michael Johnson. Remember, I used to always say, Michael Johnson.
Well, he's proven himself to be, a better fighter.
He's
than
a much
Michael
better
Johnson.
fighter.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying
fighter.
is he reminds me of how he can win any fight and he can lose any fight. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but Anthony Smith is a true, underdog story, whereas Michael Johnson came off the Ultimate Fighter. He kind of had a little bit of hype behind him. People had expectations on him. Anthony Smith was, a really, grizzled vet who's had a lot of up and downs, who has really come of age. So they're a little different in that way because I feel like anything Anthony Smith does from here on out is just a bonus to his career. He's already really kind of made it based on, his career arc.
Yep.
To be a top 5 205er, I think is as much as Anthony Smith could have ever asked of himself, and it's pretty damn impressive.
Definitely. Okay, so let's get to the awesome post-fight shenanigans. Anthony Smith was not happy with Ryan Spann's quick tap and did not want to let go, finally forced off by Herb Dean, and he kept talking to Ryan for about 10 seconds, taunting. He was very fired up, saying, "Where's that ass whooping you were serving me? Where's that ass whooping?" He was talking all kinds of shit, and the two corners almost came to blows. It was very chaotic for a while. Finally, they both calmed down and shook hands. But what were your thoughts on the extracurricular activities from Lionheart? He was really mad.
Yeah, I think we've seen Lionheart kind of in this vein before. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I believe he was yelling at, "You know my name now?" Who was that?
Oh my gosh, of course, yeah.
So this is not exactly out of character for him. I do feel like when he feels disrespected and can do something about it, he's certainly shown that he will. So, yeah, I thought, what's Spann supposed to do? I don't think that anything Spann said was necessarily, out of bounds, considering some of the stuff we've heard. But
sure, but he did say that he didn't respect Anthony Smith going in. And I think,
well, yeah, but that's why it's the fight game. So Anthony Smith got a chance to go and take his respect, and
right.
That's exactly what he did.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I loved, just for the record, I loved the extracurricular activity
Yeah, as
myself.
long as it
I loved
doesn't
it.
kind of cross that line into something ugly,
Oh yeah,
I
and it
definitely
didn't. It did
think that,
not.
that's what these fighters use to fuel them, especially at an advanced age like Anthony Smith, who's trying to will himself to a second title run. Use all the motivation you can get. It's kind of like Tom Brady. That guy will use absolutely anything to get himself pumped up. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so right before we move on, we've got a lot to cover. Anthony Smith called out Alexander Rakic for a rematch after, and Rakic immediately accepted, and the fight is tentatively scheduled for December. Any thoughts on that? Smith is saying that he's a lot bigger than he used to be than last time he was against Rakic, that he's been cutting more weight, he's put on more weight for 205, and now he's cutting down, he feels much bigger, and he's confident things are going to be very different against Alexander this time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Anthony Smith is a guy who, the more comfortable he is, the better he'll do. He's a lot like Cowboy Cerrone in that aspect.
Sure.
I think him fighting Rakic once already will allow him to have a comfort level that wasn't there the first time. He knows what to expect more or less. So, yeah, I think his chances would be better than the first fight, but I would still really lean towards Rakic based on, his physicality and the IQ to actually, put together a game plan that may not be, pleasing to the fans, but allows him to get dominant victories is plays to his favor.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. Ian Cutelaba in the co-main event defeats Devin Clark in a very physical 3-round unanimous decision. I was impressed with
him. This is Ian Cutelaba's wheelhouse right here.
Yep.
I think it was a good fight for him against a guy who didn't present a ton of problems, wasn't real diverse. So, yeah, I think this was a good showing for Cutelaba, and he jacked up homeboy's mouth, huh?
He did. He did. Any thoughts for who Cutelaba should fight next? As a reminder, he's unranked right now, so I'm looking at number 15 Jamal Hill. I'm looking at number 13 Misha Serkinov, 12 Paul Craig.
Yeah, I think Jamal Hill had his arm snapped not too long ago, so I'm sure he's going to be out for a while. I think Misha Serkinov or Jimmy Crute both fit the bill perfectly.
All right, perfect. Let's move on to Ariana Lipsky defeating Mandy Baume via unanimous decision. Now, this fight geek got me excited because Ariana Lipsky has looked like a really incomplete fighter for the majority of her UFC run. Frankly, she's had no takedown defense. She just looked like a kickboxer who, if you started to use your wrestling or grappling against her, she was kind of done. Here she was stuffing takedowns. After the fight, she was gushing about how much her new gym, I believe ATT, has improved her wrestling and grappling game. She just looked like a whole different beast, and frankly, I couldn't have been more impressed. It was by far her best performance in the UFC octagon. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, not much to add there. I pretty much completely agree. I think you see a lot of the younger female fighters, especially who have a marketability, get pushed a little too early before they're well-rounded. But I think that you can clearly see she's putting in the work, and did a lot better in certain situations than she had in the past.
And we'll keep it professional, but she's the most beautiful woman on the roster and one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life.
AKA marketability.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I just had to say that. So moving on, Arman Tsarukyan against Christos Giagos. Arman Tsarukyan gets the KO via left hook to ground strikes at 2 minutes and 9 seconds of round number 1. And whoa, Fight Geek, let me just say, I wasn't even that much of a Tsarukyan believer before this, but now I am.
Yeah, I mean, the guy has everything going for him, obviously. I mean, looked great in this one.
His only loss in the UFC is to Islam Makhachev.
Which is, no one to sneeze at, obviously. And if I believe that fight was fairly competitive.
It was competitive. It was 2 rounds to 1.
So that actually, bodes well for him. Also, I think this guy's the real deal. I'm not sure that he has the most marketability or going to be the biggest star, but he's going to be a serious problem in that division for the next 5 to 8 years, I would imagine.
I completely agree. Just let the record show. I'm saying it right now, guys. Arman Tsarukyan is going to be definitely a top 3 lightweight. Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely see him in that top 5 range for sure. Especially, and I always say this, is once this division ages out a little bit, if you look at the top of the division with guys like Poirier, even Beneil Dariush, Justin Chandler, Tony Ferguson, Rafael Dos Anjos, Dan Hooker, all of those guys I think it's safe to say, are on the backside of their career at this point.
Yeah.
Which makes Armin Tsarukyan a top 6 or 7 guy, just based off of the fact that, he'll age into that position.
And
so
here's the crazy part, Fight Geek, he's only 24.
Exactly.
How crazy is that?
He's not going to hit his prime for another 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years.
Well, when you say it like that, I'm almost sure he's going to become champ.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, if you think about it, in 6 years, Poirier, Gaethje, Chandler, Ferguson, Dos Anjos, I would say Hooker and Conor in 6 years would all be gone, which makes him the 4th-ranked fighter on the list. So, yeah, he's going to be there for a long time, I think.
Absolutely. Okay, so we don't have time to cover too many more fights. Really quick, Nate Maness, I think that's the right pronunciation, but it might be wrong. He gets the TKO via counter hook to ground strikes against Tony Gravely at 2 minutes and 10 seconds of round number 2. But here's why I'm bringing up the Fight Geek. I thought it was one of the craziest comebacks of all time because Tony Gravely was finishing Nate at the end of the first. Nate was saved by the bell, was clearly extremely shook up and still very hurt in between rounds. He looked even like he maybe didn't even want to come out for that next round. Comes out and gets the finish, and my jaw just dropped. What a comeback.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we love this sport, right? I mean, anything can happen. I was fairly confident in my Gravely pick last week, and I think he showed a lot of the reasons why. But, yeah, wow. Unbelievable comeback and hurt my picks for the weekend. But, yeah, again, that's why we love this thing, is because if we could pick them all, it wouldn't be as fun.
Exactly. Okay, and then I believe the last fight that I wanted to cover at least is Joaquin Buckley defeating Antonio Arroyo via TKO from a right hook to ground strikes at 2 minutes and 26 seconds of round number 3. Buckley was badly hurt. He had a shiner above his eye that looked like a little Joaquin Buckley. People were making jokes about that.
Yeah, for sure. Joaquin Buckley is all boom or bust team. That guy, is going to is getting KO'd on the verge of getting stopped or, highlight reel knocking someone out. So he's all action all the time. I really appreciate his style for that. It's exactly what you said. He had some rough parts of the fight, but, he survived, which I think was big for him. Because in the past he hadn't gotten out of some of those bad situations, and he was still able to land that thing late. And big time win for him.
Absolutely. So moving on from this card really quickly, just jump into Bellator 266 so quickly for Yo Romero versus Phil Davis. Davis won by split decision, which was crazy. That should have been a unanimous decision. Yep. What did you make of the fact that Yoel seemed genuinely confused at the end? He thought there were 2 more rounds, at least according to him. What do you make of that?
That was bizarre. I'll get back to that in a second. But, I think I basically called this fight on last week's show. It was fairly boring.
Yeah.
Wasn't really a whole lot of action.
It was, Phil Davis doing Phil Davis stuff.
Exactly, which was impressive. I still thought, Yoel had a couple moments. But, the fact that he was genuinely shocked that it was a 3-round fight is very concerning. The guy's making his promotional debut against a former champion. Do you think he was just saying that?
Was he just saying that, do you think, or was it genuine?
No, honestly, it looked like a genuine expression of disbelief to me. Again,
so Yoel's too cool to watch Bellator himself then. Even he's not watching.
Through the cracks. How does he not understand that with a management team, with Bellator having
the Kawa
PR
brothers,
people that are in contact with him? Has he not seen a poster or a lineup or social media or anyone on his team? Even I saw that it was 3 rounds and was a little disappointed because I think a main event should be 5 rounds. I'm kind of brainwashed that way now. But I thought it was a little lame that it was 3 rounds to begin with. So for him to not know that it was really, really disappointing, because what it leads you to believe that, Yoel, who's notorious for taking rounds off, might have been biding his time. It might have been, kind of taking some of those takedowns and kind of just, letting Phil do some of his thing, which I don't necessarily believe, but we'll never know now because, God only knows what Yoel's game plan was for the 4th and 5th rounds of that supposed fight. So just a lot of question marks. Very bizarre. Was pretty disappointed by the performance in general.
Okay, so here's my question for you. Let's say you're Scott Coker for a day or a week, Fight Geek. what do you do with Yoel Romero now? Because you can't put him into the lightweight tournament. They did have an opening with Anthony Rumble Johnson has pulled out of the tournament with what sounds like extremely serious health issues. It is not COVID related. We know that, but it sounds very serious. So genuine, sending out my thoughts and prayers to him and his family. It sounds very serious, although we don't know more than that. Romero just lost, so he can't be put back into the tournament. And Phil Davis was just defeated in the tournament, and he's down 0-2 to Vadim Nemkov, the champion. So, what does Bellator even do with the winner of this? Nothing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Phil Davis is going to get one of the next guys eliminated from the tournament in 3 or 4 months, right? I mean, that makes sense. It's not the sexiest matchup, but
going by the bracket, though, if he were to take Rumble's place, he'd be fighting Vadim Nemkov for a third time.
No, I know he's not going to. What I'm saying is the tournament is going to play out here shortly in the future. There will be 2 losers in that tournament.
Yeah.
One of those losers will fight Phil Davis in his next fight.
Got it. And what do you do with Yoel? Would you cut him if it's up to you, or what do you
cut him? What are you talking about?
Some people have been saying that. I didn't say that I think he should be cut.
You have all kinds of middleweight options. What I would do personally is I would move him down to 185, have him fight Rafael Carvalho, the former champion, who he'll probably maul, get a little goodwill back, and then have him fight Mousasi or, Mr. Van Zandt for a title. I think he still has a clear path to being a important player in the 185, but
Coker doesn't want to let him, let's be honest, Fight Geek. He doesn't want to let him go to 185 because he's scared he'll beat Mousasi and make the whole
You don't listen to
division
anything. Coker was quoted this weekend
out
of his own mouth as saying he still believes that there's a lot of value in Yoel Romero and in the 185 division particularly. So I know your conspiracy theories disagree with what he said, but I don't think that's the case. I'm sure we'll see him at 185. And there's plenty of good fights. You don't like him?
Coker specified. Wait. You're telling me that Coker specified that he'll be at middleweight? Did you just make that part up? I don't remember that. He said there were a lot more fights left.
There to fit my point.
Yeah, I thought so.
The fact that there's still fun fights to make.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah. So there are fun fights.
I wasn't saying.
Or put him down there and have him fight, Lyoto Machida or someone like that. Yoel needs a victory.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so with that, are we ready to move on to our preview and picks for UFC 266?
Let's do it.
All right, UFC 266 this weekend, Volkanovski versus Ortega. I'm so excited, Fikey. I am really excited. All right, so with this, let's start off at the top of the card and go down. So the main event, Brian Ortega versus Alexander Volkanovski. Would you like to go first with your prediction? Or should I? Fight Geek, come in.
Oh, sorry, you were on mute. No, I'd like to hear yours first.
Okay, all right, good. So I think this is a fight that everyone is sleeping on the result here. I think, look, Volkanovski's amazing. We all know how amazing he is. But Ortega has improved drastically since the Max Holloway fight. Everyone keeps talking about the Holloway fight. This is not the same Ortega who fought Max Holloway. He is a much better striker, as we saw against the Korean Zombie. And I sincerely believe Brian Ortega is going to win a unanimous decision, 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a hard fight to pick. I mean, you can make cases both ways. I am just really leaning towards Ortega. I just think
really?
the improvements that he's made, versus the Korean Zombie and just the elite finishing ability that he's shown in the past, I think will show up here. I think he's very opportunistic. And I actually think that Brian Ortega wins this via 3rd-round TKO.
Wow, we're both going Ortega. Whew. Okay, I didn't see that coming.
But then again, it could also be a decision victory to Volk, and he could look like $1 million technically. So,
all right, well let's not hedge our bet.
Say again.
I said let's not hedge our bet. I like us going all in on Brian. It's dramatic.
All right.
Even if it makes us look
Brian. Let's see what happens to set up that third or Max Holloway fight.
Oh, and to everyone listening who's got a minor minor gambling problem here, guys, don't vote. Don't bet on Volkanovski or Ortega. Okay, it's just a little too close. Just don't bet. It's too close.
Well, I'm sure Volk's the favorite, right?
Yeah, he is, but not by much. I don't know. I
put money on Ortega now. Then, if I was
he's a tight. It's very tight. I don't think there's enough value. But alas. Right. Okay, moving on.
Enough. So UFC. Yeah, but that'll be great, and I think Max is kind of next for whoever, depending on the action, unless something controversial happens that we need to sort out again.
Did they ever schedule that Max Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez event?
I don't think it's on the books, but I could be wrong. You're usually better with that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I know. It looked like it was scheduled for a while, and then, I mean, you know how Yair is. He hates fighting more than anyone on the roster. He just
takes like a year off in between.
Yeah, he just dips out of stuff. But anyways, moving on to the co-main event. Valentina Shevchenko defending her UFC flyweight championship against 15-4 Lauren Murphy. Who you got in this one, Fight Geek?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be brief on this one. I think Lauren Murphy's super tough, deserving of her shot, but I think it's going to be all Val. I think Val by unanimous wide decision.
Wow, you think Lauren's going to survive to the bell, huh?
Yeah, I do. I think she's super tough, and she's actually shown pretty good, technique to at least survive. Yeah, so I think I can make a case for Valentina by submission too if it goes to the ground late, but I think that it'll just be a masterclass by Valentina.
I've got Valentina winning by TKO ground and pound in round number 3. I think she's going to eventually take Lauren down and just elbow city this woman. But best of luck to Lauren on fighting Valentina. She'll certainly need it.
Congrats on the title shot.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, moving on to perhaps the biggest fight on the card for me.
I don't think it's perhaps. If you're going by any social metric, I'm sure that Lawler Diaz 2 is the biggest, most important fight as far as marketability by a long shot on this card.
You guys hear that? Okay. I'm not saying that I disagree. So Ariel Helwani came out with news very recently, about 45 minutes ago, saying that the fight has been moved to a middleweight bout at 185 pounds. No extra reason was given. And I speculated baselessly that this came from Nick's camp and he's having trouble making weight. Am I off doing that?
I mean, first and foremost, I'm disappointed that it's at middleweight. I would have preferred it at welterweight.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at Tapology right now, and they have Nick Diaz as the listed middleweight, and they have Robbie as the welterweight. So I find that interesting. Nick Diaz has never been a guy who has struggled to make weight, and actually doesn't look all that big. So it would be surprising to me if that was the case. But
so that's fair. What's your opposing theory? That Lawler is having trouble?
Yes, I personally, I just got done watching the countdown. I would say that Robbie looked a little more blown up just from the footage I'd seen than Nick, who looks and sounded much better than I anticipated. So, I guess we'll find out. But like I said, Tapology's listing Nick as the middleweight.
I see that, strange. Yeah. Okay, so I guess I'm just thinking out loud here, but if I'm Nick Diaz and I'm making this comeback after all these years, and Robbie Lawler, I've already fought him, okay, great, nice rival, rematch, sounds good, and Lawler asks for it to be a weight class above, I'm saying no, right? Why would you agree to that if you're Nick Diaz?
Well, that's what I'm saying, because Nick is very, he has his style at 170, he's very, he's been training the way he trains for, 20 plus years. So for him to deviate and fight at a different weight than he was expecting to.
And he did fight Anderson Silva at middleweight in his last fight. It bears mentioning. But
I kind of disregard that fight as a part of his career.
Exactly.
That was like a swan song fight. I don't know. We're both kind of speculating. We just saw this before we hopped on, so maybe we'll find out more when we get off of here.
What's your pick?
Well, if Nick Diaz is coming in as a middleweight, that changes my pick because I was picking Nick Diaz as a welterweight based on the fact that he would elongate a 5-round fight and win late rounds versus Robbie Lawler and get the decision. But if he's at 185, that affects his cardio and his punching output and the things that I was favoring him for. So it really kind of clouds the water, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. This morning, I probably would have told you that I have Nick Diaz by stoppage sometime late in the championship rounds, but I'm going to be completely honest, and I could be totally wrong. I have Robbie Lawler via stoppage late, 4th round, and I hope I'm wrong. I'm rooting for Nick. Nick Diaz
I'm
Army.
going to ride or die Nick Diaz by decision here.
Oh,
But
don't do that. Don't make me feel like I'm being disloyal. Ugh.
Hey, well, I mean, you're being disloyal for Robbie Lawler, so it could be worse. But yeah, I'm not going to pick against Nick Diaz in his comeback fight.
Oh, you're
Not
making me
gonna
feel
happen.
like such a jerk now. Okay.
I'm not like you and Uriah.
Oh, stop. Oh, stop. Come on. Okay, all right. All right, moving on.
So-
Curtis Blades versus Jarzinio Rosenstrike. This is an interesting fight against...
Yes, it is, and Curtis Blades has pretty much been unbeatable when he's not getting knocked out, and Jarzinio's a huge knockout artist, so very intriguing. But
Yeah,
I do
Curtis has
think
to be
that-
careful, though. He signals his takedowns too much.
Yeah, but I don't think that Rosenstrike is going to find that shot. I think he's going to be on the bottom of Curtis Blades a lot. I'm taking Curtis Blades via 3rd round TKO ground and pound.
All right, and I'm taking Curtis Blades via unanimous decision.
Okay.
Moving on, we've got Jessica Andraj versus Cynthia Calvillo, flyweight, bout to start off the main card. This is a fun... Wow, what a great
This is
card.
a great card.
His card's stacked.
Yeah, this is awesome. It is stacked, and I'm going with Jessica Andraj here. Just has faced much stiffer competition. I think she has more ways to win. She's a bull in a china shop, and it gets her into trouble versus super elite competition. I just don't think that Cynthia Calvillo's that super elite competition just yet. Jessica Andrade via split decision.
Ooh, I've got Andraj via unanimous decision. All right, moving on. We've got Marlon Moraes versus Marab Wheelie. And I'll just start off here because
I want to go first.
you've been going first like three
Right, go ahead.
times in a row here. People are going to think I'm copying your choice or just going off of it. All right, I've got Marab Wheelie via 3-round unanimous decision.
Yeah, to me, this is the easiest call on the card. Marlon Moraes is very, very explosive early, but has shown a huge issue with his gas tank if it goes to the 2nd round. Marab is an absolute animal in his cardio and his pace. I think he'll just absolutely drown Marlon Moraes, and yeah, he'll win a dominant unanimous decision. Possibly even stop Marlon with some kind of submission late when he's all worn out.
Very possible. I'm excited for it. Okay, moving
I
on.
think it would be a big statement if Marab is able to really stamp Moraes, because that would put him as that would kind of announce him as a title consideration.
Oh, I've been waiting for things to get awkward between Aljo and Marab for a while, and they're about to get awkward fast because Marab is going one way and Aljo's going the other. So
Yeah,
things are about to
sure.
get weird. Okay, moving on to the fight of the heroes who are trying to get their visas on time to make it. Dan Hooker versus
so as of
Masra
now, this
Heckrest.
fight is on or off?
I'm sorry?
As of now, is this fight on or off?
As of now, this fight is absolutely on.
Okay.
So
But as of at least like 3 hours ago, Nasrat was saying that he didn't have a passport, correct?
I believe about 3 or 4 hours ago he gave an update that they're moving it along.
Okay. So I guess
But
we'll wait and see.
It's very
But there
sketchy.
McKinney is looking to step in to fight Dan Hooker if he's not able to make it.
Terence McKinney?
Yes.
Okay. So that would be interesting. And then Nasrat, just a quick prayer to him and thoughts and prayers with him and his family as he just lost his mother. Can't imagine what that's like, especially right before a fight. So, thoughts and prayers. Hopefully Nasrat makes it and fights well. I'm rooting for him just because I really feel for him with this.
Yeah, I mean, rooting for him all the time because he's a kind of a fan favorite. I like his style, but
I like Dan too, though, so it's messed up.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, this is a back against the wall fight for Dan Hooker as well. I mean, he might be fighting for his UFC job here. I mean, not really, but as a legitimate top 10 fighter, he's been moved to the prelims. I think he's been stopped in 3 of his last 6. So he's starting to wear that damage. This is a must-win for Dan Hooker, and I'm rolling with Dan Hooker in this one.
Okay, so I don't want to get us sidetracked, but you did bring up Terence McKinney, who said he's willing to fight if Masra can't make it. So Terence McKinney posted just several hours ago a photo of him and Darren Till at what appeared to be a gym, the UFC PI, whatever, and they're just both, they're doing that thing with their arms around each other, making the fist, and it looked like they'd been working out together, and everyone was quick to say, wait a second, I thought Darren Till had a fully torn ACL. These are the words of his coach, and if he did, he would have almost certainly gone straight into surgery following his fight, and he would be at least in a walking boot right now. None of that was to be found.
Detective Phil.
I'm just kind of wondering if Darren Till told us a little story, a little tale.
Well, sometimes there are, rehabilitation methods for something like that.
Not for a torn ACL. You got to go to surgery first.
Yeah, well, I mean, the story's not exactly lining up, so I'm not making excuses for him, but yeah, wasn't a great look. Maybe the picture's from another.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. Is it from another time?
The training coming up, or the camp for Till's last fight, which is what I would assume. So.
Yeah. Anyways, very interesting.
If Dan Hooker ends up fighting McKinney, who you got in that one?
I got Hooker in that.
So you taking Hooker either way, or what?
You know what? Yeah, I am taking Hooker either way.
All right. Big fight for Dan Hooker, correct?
Very big. He can't lose.
All right, let's keep it moving.
All right. What fight did you want to cover? What else did you want to cover on this card? Those were
definitely the Chris Daukaus versus
Shamil
Abdurakhimov fight. I think that's a good heavyweight fight. Chris Daukaus has been making some waves, even though his opponent is probably the more seasoned, more well-known fighter. But I'm taking Chris Daukaus here. I've seen nothing but improvement and just been super impressed every time out. Guy's super tough and has lightning hands for a heavyweight.
I totally agree. I've got Chris Daukaus via second round TKO.
And then we have Roxanne Ferry versus Talia Santos. Roxanne has, I think, alternated losses and victories for her last 8 fights, I believe. And Talia Santos is kind of a new onto the scene, but very powerful, strong, young prospect. So who you got here?
I got Santos via unanimous decision.
As do I. All right, let's keep it going quickly. Euros Medic, I think.
Versus Jalen Turner. Are we going through all these fights? The listeners don't want to hear every one.
These are fun fights.
All right, let's just keep. Okay. I got Euros Medic by split decision.
I'm just gonna go with Jalen Turner. I think he's got the reach, a little more experience. All right, we can also let's just call out Omar Morales versus Jonathan Pierce. This could be a sleeper for really good action. I'm a big Omar Morales fan. I'm taking him via stoppage.
I'm taking Morales via third round stoppage.
Awesome. Okay, we can be done now.
All right. So, guys, with that, we will be right back with listener questions and more. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 114, and it is now time for my favorite section of all, and that is Listener Questions!
Alright, let's do it.
Alright, let's do it. Listener Questions, my favorite section. Fight Geek, do you have one lined up?
I don't, but I'll be
Okay, no, go. Okay, so Eduardo, that's Atlanta Crew, a Split Podcast OG. He says, what's your ideal setting to watch big fights? Home alone? Home with friends? Sports bar? Or another location? Hashtag Ask Split Pod. That's a fun question. Fight Geek, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy multiple settings depending on the mood and feel. Obviously, I like being at the arena, but, you know, at my house with a couple of select friends, barbecuing is kind of my favorite setting. I'm in control of my atmosphere and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I have to probably echo that. I think for the fights I'm really excited for, just the cards I'm really excited for. Ideally, it's me at my place with, again, just a few friends that are really into UFC.
What is the maximum number of friends for a fight party that is manageable?
That stays fun without it impeding on it?
I would say 6 to 8.
I was going to say 5. I was going to say 5.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think the preferable number, ready? I think the preferable number is only 3 other friends. Is that too low?
Yeah, I like a little more commotion than that.
I know. Well, now you guys see that I'm a introvert.
Oh, yeah, real introvert.
I am. Shut up.
All right, so yeah, at home on my couch with my big screen TV. Is big screen, flat screen, whatever smart TV.
Okay, yep. Great. So next question comes from our man, Jalen Ware. Guys, I say this every episode, follow him. He's such a smart mind in MMA. That's at strive2b_gr8. Strive2b great. He says, if Volk can dominate Ortega, where will you put him on the pound-for-pound list? And why do you think he doesn't get praise from MMA fans as a dominant champion? #AskSplitPod. I mean, just to start off real quick, I think it's pretty obvious that a lot of the problems that Volk has, it stems from that Holloway rematch, right? A lot of people.
Well, the thing why he's not considered a dominant champion is because he's not a dominant champion yet. He hasn't been a dominant champion. He is the champion who has a razor close decision versus Hall of Famer.
Well, he dominated Holloway in the first fight, to be fair.
No, I understand, but dominant is DJ. Dominant is Anderson Silva. Dominant is Kamaru Usman. What this guy is doing is not considered dominant at this point. He hasn't even beat 3 different guys.
I agree.
Yeah, so he's not dominant. You can't say a guy with one solid title defense and one, controversial decision has dominated anything. He has held serve as the champion, but he has not dominated. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, I would also counter that with, in that second fight that was close, he was only fighting this little old bum named Max Holloway.
No, I understand.
Not exactly a loser.
We can't just throw the word dominant around because where does it stop then if Volk has been dominant?
No, I totally agree. I actually...
Amanda Nunes has been dominant.
Yeah, no, speaking to all
dominant.
Volk fans right now, and tell me if I'm wrong, Fight Geek, I think this fight against Ortega is huge for Alexander Volkanovski. He has a huge opportunity.
He's the sitting champion. He's got a very live, young, credible, elite challenger. So, yeah.
Imagine if he gets a finish against Ortega.
This is where his legacy will be written. I mean, many guys have gotten to the mountaintop. How many have sat there and turned away Hall of Fame-like talent like Brian Ortega? So, yeah,
exactly.
It's a huge fight.
Exactly. Totally agree. Can't wait. So, yeah, I think...
But if he were to beat Ortega, I would certainly look at him in that, top 6 to 8 pound for pound.
Oh, I was going to say number 3 or number 4.
4. I mean, I don't know about that. I wouldn't put him.
I mean, Jones doesn't take Jones off the list. Jones hasn't fought in 2 years. It's insulting to have him on the list.
Jones. I'm saying I wouldn't put him over Usman. I wouldn't put him over Nunes. Yeah. I wouldn't put him over Valentina pound for pound. I wouldn't.
Oh, but the pound for pound lists are separated by sex now, Fight Geek.
Oh well, if they're separated that way, then I still would put. I mean, then he's in the top 3 or 4. Yeah, 3 or 4 for sure if he beats Ortega, no doubt.
Yes, and that's a big if. That's a big if.
But that's great. And right now he's probably sitting at 8 to 12.
Yep. Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. No, and I tend to agree with you on that one. Okay.
And that's just because, like I said, he's a young champion. He hasn't been there long enough to really kind of establish a dominance over the division.
Yeah, he's only got 1 title defense, everyone.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a very controversial title defense. So
exactly.
Anyways, okay. Moving on to our man, Jay Harvey. Love this dude. That's at Twig1981. And he says, Leon Edwards, has there ever been a fighter more deserving but less rewarded for his efforts? Do you think it's just his lack of public persona that Dana White doesn't care to promote? What's stopping him from getting that title shot? Hashtag AskSplitPod. And I've got thoughts, but you want to start?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Tony Ferguson was once on a 12-fight win streak without a title shot, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I mean, this is not necessarily something brand new. We've seen deserving people in the past, and I'll just use Tony as my example here. Not sure what he has to do. I mean, the thing about Leon is...
What do you mean you're not sure what he... All right. All right.
Well, I'm just saying...
He should beat a top 5 contender. That'd be a nice start. God knows he ain't done that yet.
In the court of public perception, because he got wobbled by Nate, it's really a hard sell. But the guy is he on a 9-fight winning streak, or is it 10 now?
I mean, he's trying to count poking Bilal's eye out of his socket. I mean, is that a win? If that's a win, I guess it's 10. If that's a win, I guess it's 10.
Well, was he not whooping up on Bilal in that fight?
It was early in the second round. I think that's super unfair.
Huh?
I think it's really unfair to judge someone's performance early in the second round of a 5-round fight because the other guy poked your eye out.
Do you know?
Sorry?
Did he lose the first round?
Yeah. It was close, but he lost it.
Right. So I'm just saying, it's not like you always paint these narratives like...
Okay, so you're saying that Bilal couldn't have come back. It's over. It's over after one round.
Him in the eye to survive or something.
I mean, okay, I'll just say this about Leon Edwards and tell me if you disagree. I think it's absolutely insane that Leon believes that he deserves a title shot. That's right, insane. Because what? Because he beat unranked Nate Diaz? I mean, are we really having this conversation as adults? Is this a real conversation we're having? He ducked Gilbert Burns, he ducked Masvidal, both in the last 2 months. Dude's a pussy, and he's ridiculous, and he should not get a title shot anytime soon.
Well, he'd get you in a first-round KO.
Well, obviously.
Anyways. But what I'm saying is,
he's
I'm not necessarily saying
Masvidal and Burns in the last 2 months.
But there's been many disrespected fighters in the past who were deserving. I mean...
But his last fight was literally against an unranked opponent, fight.
No, I understand. I'm not saying he deserves a title shot. But when you're on a 9-fight winning streak, I mean, you can at least make a case. It's not the most absurd thing in the world to think of a guy who's put together a multiple-year winning streak is somewhat deserving, if not just to keep, the wheels turning in the division. Like, what would be better? For Leon Edwards to get his title shot, get chewed up, and be done so we don't have to talk about him ever again? Or for us to keep this, he's on an 11-fight win streak and talk about him for 3 years? No,
I completely hear you, and I agree.
Give the guy his title shot. If he's not worthy of it, then he'll lose, and then he'll go back to being obscure, and we won't have to talk about him every
But what if I
weekend.
said that I can tell you he's not worthy of it, and he should take a top 5 opponent, and then he'll get exposed to not be worthy of it?
Because you're not the Oracle, Phil. We want to see these things.
He almost got finished by Nate Diaz. Imagine what Kamaru Usman will do to him.
Well, what I'm saying is, let's see it.
I mean, you really okay? But if it's a first-round knockout of Leon Edwards, that sucks. That sucks for everyone.
Well, I mean, are you really comparatively speaking? I think that's a fairly interesting stylistic matchup.
I would have a lot of trouble seeing. I don't mind saying this. I would have a lot of trouble seeing Leon Edwards make it to round 2. A ton of trouble.
All I'm saying is, I would rather watch Usman versus Edwards in a main event than Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira, personally.
Oh, stop.
Nope.
That's a crazy take.
2 elite 170-pounders in their absolute prime.
Blachowicz versus Teixeira is going to be an amazing fight, bro.
With singular skill sets? No.
Leon Edwards almost got slept by Nate Diaz.
No, he didn't.
I have no idea what Kamaru would do to him.
He got a little bit wobbled and recovered.
Yeah.
But anyways, what I'm saying is, it's a high-level fight. His last loss was to the champion. Usman's starching everyone. He's eventually going to, need new blood. We're not going to – I mean, if I have to watch Usman versus Masvidal or Covington 3 or
No, none of those are happening.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Eventually, give the guy a shot and let's get it over with, and shit or get off the pot, because talking about his validity as a title challenger just gets obnoxious at some point.
I just think
I'd rather just see it.
I just think it's pathetic that he's dodging Gilbert Burns. Burns has been asking for the fight. He's dodging it. Then Masvidal is asking him for a fight. He dodges that after being humiliated by Masvidal. Masvidal punched him up like a bitch live on TV. He doesn't even want that back. Says a lot about his character.
I mean,
what kind of a man is going to let that happen and not want a rematch? I would say the
Gilbert Burns fight is the fight. I mean, that really is the fight. Gilbert Burns.
We know what would happen. We know what would happen. It'd be a first-round knockout for Gilbert Burns. He'd knock him out in one round.
Well, hopefully we get to find out. All right, are we done with this one?
Yeah, I hate Leon Edwards.
We couldn't tell.
Okay, all right.
Leon Edwards is the new John Jones for you.
Dude, I've been taking it easy on Jones. You guys haven't noticed that for a while.
Well, Jones is like pseudo-retired.
I know. Okay, so this next question comes from our man, Zan Bando. That's at ZanBando99. And I'd like to wish Zan a very early but very sincere happy 22nd birthday to Zan. That's right, Zan. I've been paying attention.
Happy birthday, Zan.
Yep, happy birthday, Zan. He says this: which event is bigger in terms of name value and star power? UFC 266 or UFC 268, and why? Hashtag AskSplitPod. Great question.
It is a great question, and wow.
Oh, I've got mine.
Are we going by most buys, or are we just going by what was?
Let's go by most buys.
Most buys will definitely be UFC 268.
Agreed. And I still think 268 is the superior card. Do you disagree?
I mean, Nick Diaz being on this card really, really, really helps its marketability. But
that's true.
I would lean to 268. I mean, you've got Usman, Colby, Rose, Wheelie, Justin, Michael Chandler, Luke, Sean Strickland,
Edgar Martin,
Vera. I mean,
Edmund Shabazian is fighting. Ally Quinta versus Bobby Green.
Yeah, so it is. It's oh my god, and then Shane Burgos,
Billy Q.
I mean, there are some great fights on here. So yeah, 268, I think is the winner, even though I'd love to side with Nick's card.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think 268 is just an absolutely on fire card.
That is going to be a crazy night. The energy in that Rose versus Wheelie fight is going to be absurd.
Let's hope the card sticks together. There's a small number of fighters on here that are making.
I almost want to break that card down now. I mean, the Sean Strickland versus Luke Rockhold fight is as intriguing as any fight I've looked at in a very long time. I don't know why. Just so many question marks, and Sean Strickland's kind of not new to the scene if you've been paying attention, but new to the mainstream top 10.
And you know why I've got to give Sean Strickland so much credit, Fight Geek, is Luke Rockhold is someone that I hated. I mean, I truly hated him. And hate's a strong word, but in sports I use it a little bit more lightheartedly. But I then got to know Sean Strickland, and then I found out they were fighting, and now suddenly I'm Luke Rockhold's #1 fan. I want him to win so bad.
How that happens.
So that says so much about. It's impressive how hateable Sean Strickland is.
It really is the perfect matchmaking, because Sean Strickland is, like we were saying before, not necessarily a big one-shot knockout guy, So, at least Luke should feel at least somewhat comfortable that he may be able to eat a shot or two. He's a volume guy, but technically Luke Rockhold has always been very strong. So,
has Sean Strickland ever said anything, a single sentence that's come out of his mouth that's made people like him more than before he said the sentence? I used to be super racist. Well, this is why I want to kill people. Oh, this is like, dude, we get it. You're a psycho. Like, go away.
I feel like he's kind of bleeding on a little bit. I think he's kind of indulging in that character. Some of it seems a little poorly delivered, in my opinion, but
he reminds me of like the creepiest, most corrupt backwoods cop ever. Like, step out of the vehicle now.
He's kind of like Colby in a way that, like, he dipped his toe into the controversy water and noticed that, like, he made noise, and then he's just kind of increasing the volume on it. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
I want Luke to knock him out so badly.
Well, then will you go back to hating Luke, or will then
No,
Luke
I'm
be
Team
like
Luke
a
now
fan
because
favorite?
of Strickland. I'm Team Luke.
Okay. Well, Luke has a chance to do a full 180 and turn into the.
How
the
crazy would
underdog
that be?
now.
Is if Luke Rockhold has a renaissance run? Oh,
He becomes a fan favorite after years of being like the butt of jokes.
oh my gosh, that'd be. If
Big,
anyone can
big
do it, Sean
opportunity
Strickland
for
can.
Luke Rockhold.
If anyone can make Luke Rockhold a hero to the masses, it's Sean effing Strickland.
Right. But Sean Strickland also has the effort vibes of like a Bisping too. So you kind of.
Yeah, Bisping's more likable than Sean.
No, he's more likable. I mean that fighting spirit. Like Sean Strickland is a gritty dude, though. I do believe that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you'll have to hurt him real bad to get him out of there.
His videos are just so weird, bro. I don't know what makes
I
him
don't
important.
even. I can't even sit through him anymore.
No, he'll literally just be like, "What's up?" So I didn't tell you guys this. I used to be super racist. It's just like, bro, like what?
Like, yeah.
Just put the
yesterday
phone down,
I
bro.
passed this guy in the parking lot. And I just wanted to smash his head in.
Such a clown. Such a
Like,
clown.
great, dude. Maybe see someone about that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Frankie Edgar versus Marlon Chito Vera. That's a fun one.
Yo, this is an amazing.
Oh wait, we're
fight.
breaking down 268. We're not supposed to be.
Oh yeah, we are. We got lost in the sauce.
Because it got too good. But wait, let's just break it down real quick. Wait, Edgar versus Marlon Chito
No,
Vera.
what are we going to talk about in a few weeks?
I don't know. We have a right to change our minds.
All right, we have a right to change our minds. But yeah, Frankie Edgar versus Marlon Vera is the kind of fight that I hate because I don't want either guy to lose. But I think Marlon Vera is the ascending fighter, and I'm leaning that way right now.
All right, I tend to agree with you. And then the last thing I'll mention is that Alex Pajeda, who is the kickboxer that knocked out Izzy with that infamous photo of Izzy getting the oxygen on the canvas floor, he makes his UFC debut. He's 3-1 in the prelims against Andras Michailidis from Greece. This is a middleweight bout. Should be interesting.
Yeah. One to watch, no doubt. I mean, he's obviously going to be painted with that guy who knocked Israel's storyline out to death. So it's on him now to make himself important. He could be the next Joe Duffy.
Yup, absolutely. And then, okay, do we have any more listener questions? Outstanding listener questions?
Go back. Volk Ortega, Jay Harvey. Think we got them all.
All right. And then right before we end the show, Fight Geek, there's one more topic I wanted to cover. Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant had their press conference face-off today, and they started throwing real punches.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking a street fight, bro. What'd you make of that?
Kind of threw out like a half-hearted cheap shot.
Oh, no, he tried to sucker punch Canelo.
No, I know, but it was half-hearted. It wasn't, I mean, he didn't come like super snappy, but then you see Canelo at the waist kind of dip and dive and come back with a combination barehanded.
So
yeah,
Caleb got cut bad below his right eye, FYI.
So, yeah, I guess it was from the glasses, supposedly, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that fight gets pushed back or not. Obviously, there's some bad blood. I think Plant was poking the bear with the cheating comments or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, what can you say? The one thing I will say is Canelo's just a bad dude, man. You can just tell. That's not a dude you want to tangle with. He's just ready.
Well, I was just going to say, okay, so tell me if I'm wrong. If you're Caleb Plant and you're at this presser and you throw a sucker punch at Canelo and he dodges the sucker punch and tags you, what? I mean, that has got to be a very depressing.
12 feet across the stage.
Right. So then, how do you tell yourself you're supposed to win in the actual boxing match? He just dodged your sucker punch, bro.
It's an uphill battle for sure. I mean, one thing I will say is just big fan of Canelo because of all the guys who claim to be alphas in an alpha sport. That dude just moves like an alpha. You know, he's just that dude. It's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. Okay, so
I mean, he doesn't take any shit from anybody. All these press conferences. I mean, wasn't Caleb Plant the one he was cussing out and kicking out of his previous post-fight press conference?
yeah, I believe when he was like, "Get the fuck out of here, man."
Yeah, I mean, the guy just takes no shit. It's awesome. I mean,
yeah,
he's a bad dude, and he's vicious in the ring. I'm a huge Canelo fan, and I don't really, I mean, I've actually watched quite a bit of Caleb Plant and actually like his style, but just feel like he's way too basic to really compete with a guy like Canelo.
Oh, really quick just before I forget, a lot of little news here. Conor McGregor threw an opening first pitch in the Chicago Cubs game against the Minnesota Twins.
I can't believe you did that. Wow.
That pitch went, I don't know where Conor wanted it to go, but it went to...
Imagine that's how you throw.
I was going to say, so listen, here's the truth. This is what I don't get about those embarrassing throws.
What this proves is
how do you not practice? Dude, how do you not practice in the back? Like, what?
Well, I mean...
You're not going to practice at least a few throws? It just goes to show me
that Conor and I's upbringing is, like, completely polar opposites. I mean, goodness, how do you not ever have a ball in your hand for 40 years?
I will say it wasn't the worst pitch of all time. That goes to 50 Cent.
It looked like the first time he'd thrown a baseball in his life.
Yeah, and it probably was. But anyways, the worst pitch of all time is 50 Cent. Second worst is Conor McGregor. Second worst all time.
Well, he threw it to the first row seats behind the backstop.
He threw it to some girl in the bleachers, dude.
Conor missed the pitch by 12 feet.
You mean 120 feet. I think you're missing a digit. Yeah, that was...
Man, it's so surprising to see someone who moves as hyper-athletic as someone like Conor McGregor. You put a ball in his hands, and it just looks like that. It's really astonishing to me.
Does Conor want to consider going back to Ireland for a while? He's been in the LA. He's been in the U.S. for a while now since his fight. I don't know if it's necessarily going so good. But...
Well, you don't really know anything. You're just speculating. But what do you mean by going so good? He's got
just kind of L after L. But okay, you're right.
You think physical therapy in Ireland's better than in United States?
I just know that if he was in Ireland, he wouldn't have thrown that humiliating first pitch.
Well, that's true. And he wouldn't have thrown that humiliating drink on MG.
Well, that's what I'm talking on Machine Gun Kelly. That's why I say L after L after L. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure that he sees it that way, because one thing that Conor McGregor does know how to do is continually make noise. Even if he's losing fights, if he's not fighting, Conor knows how to stay relevant. He's very gifted at that.
That's true, and he's still the biggest star in the UFC. I maintain.
And as long as he's, picking fights with pop stars and showing up at baseball games and partying with LeBron James or whatever he was doing at the Cowboys game, he will stay because he understands social media and he understands how to stay a draw even when, maybe his performance has slipped a bit.
Absolutely. I think that's all very fair. Okay, so guys, I'm about to hand it off to Fight Geek. Before I do, if you could do us a big favor, we've got a competition going for the next 2 months. If you could hop onto Apple iTunes podcast app and give us a quick 5-star review. As long as it's come in the last 2 weeks, you will be eligible for our nice prize competition. Shout out to Eric Buchert, who's already added a 5-star review and is in the running. Again, there's 2 more months of the competition. All you've got to do is go onto the podcast app on an iPhone. If you don't have an iPhone, get your girlfriends, get your moms, get your sisters, get your brothers, and put in a 5-star review for the Split Decision Podcast. That's 4 words. You can make it quick, and you will be eligible for that reward. With that, Fight Geek, take us away.
Yes. All right, guys, as usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We are at Split_Podcast. It's 4 words, the Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week. Peace.
Peace.